بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. Brothers, sisters, sons and daughters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, today we'll try to discuss the places of origin of Arabic letters. There is a need to concentrate on this because the springboard of Ilm al-Tajwid is the correct articulation, pronunciation of Arabic letters. And that is half of Ilm al-Tajwid. So there is a need to improve our articulation, our pronunciation of Arabic letters. There are 6 vowels in Arabic. 3 are regarded as short vowels and 3 are long. Let us first of all try to understand the short vowel. These short vowels are known in Arabic as harakat. Haraka means a movement, and these are fatha, a flat sign, kasra, fatha goes over the letter. Kasra is placed beneath the letter and dhamma is placed over the letter. So there are 3 harakat, short vowels: fatha, flat sign; kasra, that is, the sound goes down; and dhamma, the sound goes slightly up. Pretend that I am letter Qaaf. If you place a fatha on top, then it means a haraka. I'll become mobile. So I'll say Khaa, 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 Khaa. That mobility will continue as long as I'll carry this fatha with me. But the moment you remove that fatha, then I'll become mute. And if you place kasra beneath this qaaf, then my movement will start. If you remove, then again I become mute. And if you place dhamma on me, then the sound goes up. If you remove, then again I become mute. So this haraka provides mobility to the letters. Letters find movement with them. And if these are removed, then letters will remain still. How to measure that short vowel, fatha, kasra and dhamma's duration? Very easy. One has to close one finger, if it is kasra, e, and if it is dhamma, u. As against these 3 short vowels, there are 3 long vowels. And in order to understand these long vowels, one has to look at here, if 2 fathas are combined together, that is a plus a, we will make it a. The duration is 2 harakat, not more than that. And then E plus E, and then U plus U. The prolongation should not be more than closing fingers twice. E, E. So, how to articulate this? E, U. And alhamdulillah, we find in the Quran al-Kareem a very good word here, and it is nuhiha. Now here, all these 3 are there. As you can see, nu, nu, then he, he, and then ha,
A, E, U.
In ilm al-Tajwid, the Arabic letters, in terms of their articulation, pronunciation, are divided in a number of groups. And this grouping has been done in order to provide ease and comfort for their articulation, for their pronunciation. The first group which we are going to deal with is known al-huruf al-shafawiyya, that is, labial letters. They are concerned with the lips, two lips. Let me point out to you in this figure, these are the 2 lips. This is the oral cavity. This is our tongue, and this is letter B. This is nasal cavity. So nasal cavity, oral cavity, tongue, and 2 teeth, and then 2 lips. So, how to articulate the letter B? Letter B, 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 from 2 lips. So, B, B, boo. B, B, boo. And if we make it quiescent, B. This is the correct method of finding out the origin of the articulation, pronunciation of a letter. When we make that letter quiescent, sakina, and apply a to it. So if we make B sakina and apply a B, a B, a B, a B. Then we take this another labial letter, which is meme, 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 meme. Please note the position of this meme in terms of these 2 teeth, meme, meme. And then if you apply this harakat, M, mi, mu. M, mi, mu. And you make it quiescent. It is to be noted that the sound actually travels through the nasal cavity, in respect of the articulation of meme. Then we come to another labial letter, which is wow. Wow. For the articulation of wow, one should notice that this particular letter is articulated as it is written. Let me explain to you. When we make our lips round, and that is the round shape here. And then we have to open this round lips. Wa, 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 wa. And if we apply this harakat, wa, we, wo. Make it quiescent. Oh, oh, oh. It is highly essential to make our lips round whenever we try to articulate wow in the Quran al-Karim. The final labial letter is f. Now here what happens, that the upper incisors come closer to the lower lip. F. So f, fi, fu, af,
أب 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 أم 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 أو 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 أف 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 أب أم أب أم أو أف أو أف أب أو أم أف أب أو أم أف.
Another group of letters known as al-huruf al-halqiyya, that is guttural letters. This is throat. And remember that the vocal cord is here, plays very decisive role. I already explained to you before. Now the position of these 6 letters is placed in terms of their articulation in pairs. So here, Hamzah, ha, come from the bottom. If you take your index finger and place this your index finger here, then you may feel little vibration. Now in the case of as far as the vocal cord is concerned, it opens slightly. And if we have to articulate, pronounce, the vocal cord opens slightly more than a. So a, a, I, U, Hi, Hu. Then the next pair comes from the Adam's apple, close to Adam's apple, and that is Ain and Ha, Ain and Ha, A, I, U, Ha, Hi, Hu. And the final pair appear from the top, that is Ghayn, Khaa, Ghayn, Khaa. So Gha, Ri, Gu, Kha, Khi, Hu. And if we make all these letters as quiescent, ah, so that's how these 6 guttural letters actually appear from the gutter. And these are actually their places of origin. And if we give justice to their places of origin, then we are able to articulate these letters as they ought to be articulated. There is a need to listen very carefully our Qari who has articulated and try to imitate him.
A, A, Ah, 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 L, 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 Ah, L, Ah, L.
Now we are going to deal with 2 Uvular letters, al-harafan lahwiyan. And these are Qa, Qa. I did point out to you, if you remember, Uvular. So Qaaf comes close to Uvular. So this is akka, akka, akka. When make it quiescent, akka, 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 akka. Quite rhythmic sound comes. Akka, akka. So ka, ti, ku, akka. And this kaaf, it comes slightly a distance from the point of origin of qaaf. K, ki, ku. Ak, k, ki, ku. Ak.
أق 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 أك 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 أق أك أق أك أك أق أك أق.
Let us try to understand three orificial letters which are known in Arabic as al-huruf al-shajariyah. These three letters originate from the middle portion of the tongue. The middle portion of the tongue touches the opposite hard palate. Opposite hard palate. So let us see this here. Ja, ji, ju. Aj, aj. Similarly, sh, she, shu. Ash, ash, ash. Ya, yi, yu. Ay, ay.
أج 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 أش 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 أي 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 أج أش أش أي أج أي أش أج.
There are three letters which are known as al-huruf al-dhawlaqiyya, and these are known as the liquids. And these three letters are Ra, Noon, Lam. Let us try to determine from where they originate. If this is our tongue, so then what happens? This portion of the tongue touches the upper hanak, al-hanak here. So, let us see here. Ra, ri, ru. Ar, na, ni, no. And you may feel it if you do like that. If you know the place of origin, then you feel that, yes, this is actually what happens. Then, la, li, lu. Al,
أر 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 أن 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 ال 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 أر أن ال ال أن أر أن أر ال.
Another group of three letters is known as al-huruf an-nit'iyya, the dental letters, because all three have to deal with the teeth. And here in this model, one can see that this upper incisors are responsible for their articulation. So what happens? The tip of the tongue touches here, touches here, touches here, touches here, touches here. This figures the upper incisors, the tip of the tongue, upper incisors, the tip of the tongue, and the upper incisors, the tip of the tongue. But here the role of our tongue is different. Let me explain to you. So here in that case, ta, ti, tu, at, da, di, do, ad. If you notice in this figure, here the role of the tongue is not the same as in the case of ta and da. As in the case of ta and da. Now what is happening to this Thaa? Generally I noted that those letters, when they are written like that, then it means what? They will cover the oral cavity. Do you notice that the oral cavity is covered here? In the case of da and tha, the oral cavity is not fully covered. And but in the case of Thaa, so Thaa, tri, tu, ato.
أط 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 أد 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 أت 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 أط أد أت أد أت أط أت أط أد.
There are three al-huruf al-lithwiyya, the gingival letters. For their articulation, the tip of the tongue touches the edges of the upper incisors. The edges of the upper incisors. So here in the figure, if you look very carefully, and then we have to breathe out. We have to breathe out. As, 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 th, th, si, su, as, as. And if you try to put your palm in front of your mouth, you may witness that air is coming. As, 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 as. And then again for that, as, 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 the, zu, the, zu, as. As I mentioned to you last time, if you remember, for the pronunciation of Thaa, as it is written, same is Waaw, 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 Waaw. Now what happens? The tip of the tongue touches here, as in these two cases, but the entire mouth cavity is covered by the tongue. You can see, compare this for the articulation of as, mouth cavity is not fully covered. But for av, mouth cavity is fully covered.
F, 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 Elf, 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 F, F, Elf, F, Elf, F, Elf, F, F.
The next group, al-huruf al-asaliyya, the apical letters, is also comprising of 3 letters. And for their articulation, as you can see here in the figure, it gives the hissing sound. As, 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 sa, si, su. That hissing sound is highly essential for this letter. For the next letter, what actually happens? The tip of the tongue touches the lower incisors here, the lower incisors here, the lower incisors here, lower incisors here. As, z, zi, zu, z, zi, zu. And finally, the third letter is saw, 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 saw. Now, you can notice that here the entire mouth cavity is covered by the tongue. The sound goes round the mouth cavity. And if you compare that for this as and az, this is not the case with Saad. As, 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 saw, si, su.
S, S S Az 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 As 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 S Az As Az Else S Else S Az.
The final letter in its place of origin is difficult for non-Arabs to articulate. Probably this is the reason why the Arabs claim themselves as Ahlul Daad, means they are the people who can articulate this letter well. But let me try to show you the method how to articulate the letter Daad. Here, the left hand side of upper molars, which I am touching here, left hand side of the upper molars, keep in mind that, and then what is needed is to twist our tongue that way, and let this twisted portion touches the inside of the left inside molars. It can be articulated from the right as well, but probably this is easy. So, what we are required to do first? We are required to twist our tongue like this and let this twisted portion touches this inside of the left hand side upper molars. Left hand side upper molars. So here, as you can notice that, like the other letters, what happens? The entire mouth cavity is covered. The entire mouth cavity is covered.
L L L L L L
Dha, Dhi, Dhu, Ad, Darba, Diba, These.
أب أت أث أج أح أخ أد أذ أر أز أس أش أص أض أط أض أع أغ أف أق ال أم أن أو أه أي أج أق أع أر أب أط أث أس أض أي أك أع أو ال أت أض أص أش أح أم أن أد أذ أز أغ أف أخ.
There is a need at this stage to understand the role, characteristics, and the impact of heavy letters. And these heavy letters are خصدغتين قض. As I mentioned to you earlier, in order to memorize them, this is the methodology which has been adopted by Muslim scholarship. So if we remember this particular phrase, it means we'll remember all these 7 heavy letters. Now, one thing is very significant here in this heavy letter, and you might have noted when I try to explain to you, their point of articulation, pronunciation, I did indicate that how, especially with these 4 letters, Thaa, Dhaa, Saa, Dha, the mouth cavity is filled by the tongue. Again here, mouth cavity is filled by the tongue. Saad, mouth cavity is filled by the tongue. Daad, Daad, mouth cavity is filled with the tongue. Another extremely amazing thing, significant thing, which we notice here, how they are written in the script. You may notice that elongated circle represent what? Filling of the mouth cavity. Yet another elongated circle, filling of the mouth cavity. Elongated circle, filling of the mouth cavity. And finally, elongated circle, filling of the mouth cavity. So they have been written as they are articulated. Very significant point. One thing more we must try to understand, and that is these letters, heavy letters, create echo. Let us look at this, our mouth cavity, which is here, mouth cavity. This is known as mouth cavity. And I pointed out to you that al-hanak al-azami, that is the heart palate. As against that, what follows is al-hanak al-lahami, that is soft palate. Now this hard palate plays a very decisive role for articulation, especially of these heavy letters. What happens when we are going to articulate one of these heavy letter, say for example, Qaaf? And the best way, in order to know the point of articulation of this letter, is to make it sakina. Aqqa, 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 aqqa. I'm sure you might, if you have, for example, try to break an almond. And if you break the almond, there's somebody who is sitting next to you will notice a very rhythmic sound from your oral cavity. As a result of breaking an almond. Why it is so? It is so because this is treated as cave. And there is an echo here in this cave. When we articulate Qaaf, aqqa, 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 and we close the cavity, mouth cavity, aqqa, 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 aqqa. So that echo comes from here. So the important thing is for these letters is this, all these letters actually creates echo. And that is innate melody. Innate melody is provided in the articulation of these heavy letters. Same happens when we articulate ra, ra, ro, ar, and ra, which carry shadda, and ra, ru, and la mushaddada of Allah, 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 and Allahum. So that echo is extremely important. Allahumma salli ala Nabiyyir Rahma wa sallim. O Allah, let the world witness peace, justice, human dignity, freedom, unity, and prosperity.